The following was recorded during the COVID-19 pandemic through Zoom meetings in accordance with local health guidelines. Hi, I'm Mike Maloney, and welcome to another CSRM podcast. Today's episode is hosted by Dr. Greg Linville.
Hi, welcome back to another CSRM podcast. I have the great delight to share this time with two good friends, and they're actually taking part of their vacation to be with us. And you might see in the background there that they are just celebrating a little bit, getting away a little bit at Virginia Beach. But Angela and Dwight McDowell, welcome to CSRM's podcast. And
good morning, everybody. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, all those.
Now, Dwight, this is your second time on the CSRM Board of Trustees, and every time that you've been with us, you've been a delight. And every time the two of you and your family have come to things like the Sports Outreach Summits or the Reach gatherings, again, you've been a delight to everyone. And tell us just a little bit about who you are and where you're located. Tell us how long you've been married, about your family, just anything you want to share with us about your family and how did you get from where you were to where you are today?
You start and I'll catch up, and when we start and you catch up.
You start and I catch up.
All right, well, I'm one part of this pair, and I'm Dwight. This is my wife, Angela. We met about 31 years ago, and we married 4 months later. And so we've been married in November. It'll be 31 years as well. We started sports ministry together about 5 years after that. So we've been doing sports ministry about 25 years. We have 4 children, we have some adult children, and we have some younger ones as well, school age, my wife calls it. We have a 29-year-old daughter she just recently married, son-in-law now. And then we have our 25-year-old son. He's a Naval Reserve and in college. And we have our just turned 18-year-old son. He'll be going off to college and Army ROTC program, kind of close to home. And then we have a 10-year-old daughter. And then we have a host of other godchildren and spiritual children along the way as well, I guess you would say. You want to jump in there?
Think you feel it all in?
We work with not only sports ministry, but we get a chance to talk to a lot of other married couples and younger married couples, because we do what we call SYMBIS assessments with facilitators for that as well. So we get to do an assessment done by a couple other doctors, and then we get the facilitator to show them how to read it, and then share our own experiences of marriage with other couples through our sports ministry and other sports ministries while we're mentoring married couples at the same time. And if I didn't add, we have a 10-year-old daughter, so we're not just in love, we're in love. We're passionately in love, and we love working. We do everything together, and even when we're not trying to, we end up working in sports ministry together, married ministry, mentor ministry. It just we're just together all the time. So, you just jump in there. I don't want to talk all the time.
I think you feel it all in. I think, and one thing that it just talking about our family and me and him working together in sports is I wasn't a sports person growing up. In high school, I stayed away from sports. So when I met him and he wanted to he did it for like 5 years, I want to say, without me. When I say without me, I'm like, go, do your thing. And then after a while, God prompted me, like, you need to go and help me. So that's how we've been ever since then.
So where was home for you guys? Born and raised where?
I was born and raised in Virginia. Been here all my life. Even when I met Dwight, he was in the military, so he came here from other places, and every time he got a duty station, he was still here, so I never had to leave. So I've always been home.
I came here through born and raised halfway in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, then back and forth through North Carolina and South Carolina. I went to the Navy with the intent that I'm going to station wherever they want me to be for 4 years. I'm going back to take up residence to North Carolina. So, but then I met Angie, and 4 months later we married, and I never left. So everything comes through here with us. Even our education paths both ended up here, and I just happen to have a certification in life coaching and master's degree in leadership and management. My wife has a associate's, bachelor's, and master's, but a master's in marriage and family therapy and counseling. And so we just kind of put that together with mentoring, and then we have a mentor certification that we mentor marriages and stuff like that. It's just been a part of our life. Even when we tried to duck it, it just kind of engulfed us. So that's where we are.
Well, we're recording this during the COVID crisis, and so we are not in our normal studios, and you may hear some background noise, or it may fade a little bit on you because we're kind of susceptible to the Wi-Fi that we're using. But nonetheless, what I got to tell you, that the only time that I've ever heard anybody not agree with you or not want to be around you was when they found out you were such a Dallas Cowboy fan. That's the only time.
I'm going to have to give you correction there, Greg. I am not such a Dallas Cowboy fan. I am a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan.
Yeah. Well,
my wife is a diehard Eagles fan, so a lot of times that doesn't go really well for us.
Yeah. So you get what I'm saying. Other than that, anybody who has ever met the two of you just rave about who you are and knowing you. So it's great to be with you. You've actually done a lot of speaking and writing on the topic of mentoring. Now, our basic audience are people who are involved in sports ministry, and even more so at the local church, and they're doing sports rec and fitness within the local church. But let's talk about mentoring kind of in an overall sense. Give us kind of a biblical basis for it to start us out. Where would you see the scriptures pointing us when we think about mentoring? What does mentoring mean to you, and what does the Bible say about it?
So I'm starting, and I'll let my wife jump in there. Biblically, I always run back to the mentor. The breakdown is disciple, is just and that word discipline, and disciple me, teach me, lead me, guide me, show me how not to make the mistakes I like to think that I made. And if I mentor you and disciple you, you won't have to make those same mistakes if you follow my lead. And so we learned over years to try kind of are you watching us? And so that means that we have to hold our life accountable. If you're going to tell somebody to watch me, then they're going to watch you and they're going to see your imperfections, and that's okay when you have some things that you're a little bit off, but they also see you trying to get better at all times. We believe that goes with mentorship. Then if you go way back to Moses and Joshua, the son of Nun, that was a mentorship relationship way back. Elijah and Elisha, that was a mentorship way back. We had Naomi and Ruth, that those were just way back mentorship relationships that go way back, and all the way in the early biblical days. And I believe that God is still setting mentors in place today. Those are a lot of examples to follow from the Bible, and then we put them in our life today as far as mentorship goes. And I'm sure my wife, she's a theologian, so she probably has more scriptures than me.
Actually, but just talking about Jesus is a teacher, so so much, and we are to teach those that he brings to us to mentor. And my husband and I have this thing where if we see one of our youth doing something, and I always tell my husband, like, he doesn't know, nobody has ever taught him. So that's what we're here for. How would he know if we don't tell him? So that's our our main thing is, okay, once I tell you, now you watch me and I can show you how to do it. Telling somebody something and not telling them how to do it. Yeah, you want me to do this, but how do I do that? So we kind of incorporate all of that in our mentor program. We don't hold our kids to the carpet until we tell them how to do something and show them how to do it. And right now, we're going to hold you accountable for doing this the right way.
That's wonderful. And as you were going through some of those people in the Bible there, I never thought about Naomi and Ruth. We do see Elijah and Elisha. We do see Jesus and the disciples, and Barnabas with Paul, and then Paul with Timothy, and on it goes. But there's when you started listing all those, it brought to my mind anyway how many more there are, and that this isn't just Jesus to his disciples, but it's holistic throughout the whole Bible. And so your point about that is really significant. And Angela, this might be a little bit more for you. Most of our ministries still are male oriented, particularly in the sports world. And do you see a significant difference in the way that females are mentored, or talk a little bit about how is that happening between the Naomi and the Ruths of today?
When it comes to mentoring,
Yes.
there is a little bit of difference. It's like my husband and I, we play well off of each other. He's a little more what I want to say, tough love. He's that coaching aspect that, and I'm more come alongside you. Let me show you how to do this. And so we kind of, play off of one another. And there is a difference, but I think you need that. I think you need some of that, when that tough love and you fall, you have a soft place to land. And that's kind of how we do it, how we play off of one another. But, there is, not saying that's how everybody does it, but that's just how we end up doing it.
Very interesting. And I think you're aware of the fact that, I think it's been 3 or 6 months ago that CSRM brought on an associate staff person who is working in this area of mentoring and mentoring ministers, because we really believe that this is something that's so important to what we do in our sports outreach community. And we were talking with him a little bit. His name is Weston Bryant, by the way. And when I was talking to Weston about this, we talked about there being 3 areas of passing on, if you will, passing on these things to other people, to the next generation. The first area would be spiritual direction. The second area would be a life coaching. And a third area would be ministry related. And let me just give a couple specifics there, and then I'll let you guys talk into these. The first one, spiritual direction, particularly within the Catholic tradition and somewhat the Orthodox, a little less with the Protestant, is an area that you actually have a spiritual director, a person that you meet with once a week, once a month, once a quarter, at least once a year, and they encourage you to read certain books, to establish certain spiritual disciplines and practices and certain prayer life, and it really is about taking you deeper with Jesus. The life coach is the person who says, okay, you just graduated from high school, you need to be thinking about this. Okay, you just got engaged, you need to think about this. Okay, you just got your degree, and okay, you just started your job, you just had your first kid, you just had a parent go into the nursing home. That life journey and what to expect and how to relate to those things. And then that ministry coaching, really that mentoring that comes to ministry is, okay, you're the sports minister. How do you deal with that senior pastor? How do you deal with that volunteer who is really causing a problem in that league. And how do you train your people, or how do you recruit your people? And so you get that ministry side of it. So do you have any insights into those three kind of specific areas that might all be lumped into mentoring? Your thoughts?
Um, excuse me. I think to get all those together, and some people break down some parts and they will send a group to one set for this part and another set to this part for this part. We spend a lot of time using that approach of follow me, watch me. Means that we're going to do our best to live holy before God. We're going to do our best to have a good marriage. It's a happy marriage. We're going to do our best to do what's right and not what's wrong. And then we're going to do our very best to tell you. A lot of times people get caught up in that thing about experience being the best teacher. We understand experience. They'll teach you, you mess it up. But we believe a lot in a teacher being the best teacher. Meaning if we've already lived it and we've taken some wrong turns, we've taken some right turns, if we can advise you through the mentorship piece and pray for you during that part in the ministry part, then that's where we want to go. But if we also believe that if we need to sit down and talk with you once a month, once a week, we do that with married couples that we mentor. My wife mentioned our youth people a lot, but we have a lot of adults that we deal with. We need you to walk by some basic principles as well. If you want to coach young people, you want to mentor others, you're going to have some certain standards of character and integrity about yourself. So, but we also understand that we may not know everything. And so we also understand partnerships with a lot of other people and other ministries that we can connect you to if we feel that they're going to give you more or give you some insight that we can't give you at this time.
Let's see that. You want to answer? I mean, that's a great point because we don't know everything, but we're a resource. We are a resource, and we can point you in the right direction. Here, go see this person. Go here, go there, to get what we think you need. We don't have all the answers, but we can at least find an answer for you or help you in the right direction. Instead of going left, here, go right. This is where you need to be for what you want to do. And Greg, when you mentioned about volunteers, that maybe a little bit disgruntled or whatever, what we have done is put things in place to when a new volunteer comes into our organization, they have to go through a class. In that class, they learn what our mission is, what we're about. They learn everything, all the nuts and bolts of who we are, so they can decide, this is what we do, this is who we are. If you like to stay. But then when they stay and something happens, we can revert back to, remember when we said, this is what we do. So you can't hold people accountable if they don't know what the standards and the rules and things of that nature are.
Well, I think people that are listening or watching this are getting a sense of why I wanted to spend some time with you guys. It's just obvious that your experience and your commitment to this is just coming right through. And I'd like to do two things. I'm sure that Andrew, who spins all the dials to make this come to pass, will probably put your contact information up. And if people want to get in contact with you, they'll be able to follow up. And if you're not watching this and you can't see it on the screen, just go to the CSRM website and they'll be able to connect you there with this delightful couple and what they are doing and help you walk through some of these things. The idea that you just shared that is so positive to me is, watch me do it and watch us live this out. And yet I also heard you say, besides we may not know everything, I know you guys well enough to know that you say we don't always act the way we should. Well, that's at least true for Dwight. And we know that all of us are not perfect, but we say, even when we're not perfect, you can still learn something from us, how we deal with that. We're coming down here to the end of this segment. And for those of you that are listening or watching, just know that there will be another segment that'll come out in about a week from now. And we're going to be right back with this couple. And we're going to learn a little bit more about how they perceive mentoring and what they're doing in it, and even how you can apply it in your local church and how you can apply it in your sports ministry to great effect for the gospel. And before we get off this, I just want to call to mention that we have 2 books that have recently come out. One is called Rugged Discipleship by Steve Connor, that talks a lot about what you guys just talked about, how to pass this on to other people. And then the other book is Maintaining Pace, from a mentor to many of us, Brian Mason, and how we go through these stages in our life and we get that mentoring from other people that then we can pass on. So Dwight and Angela, we're gonna come back and keep recording, but for this segment, we're gonna say goodbye and thank you for joining us, everyone. Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
CSRM's podcasts are a resource provided by the Association of Church Sports and Recreation Ministries and its production house, Overwhelming Victory Flicks. This episode was produced by Dr. Greg Linville and edited by Andrew Fouts. For more information about CSRM, visit csrm.org. For more information about our publishing and production houses, visit csrm.org and click on the Resource tab. For CSRM Podcasts, I'm Mike Maloney. Have a blessed day.